In my previous video, I talked about ego and how ego destroys you. And today, just moments ago, I finished journaling and I realized that how should I say, like, how ego is so attached to you, to your identity, to yourself, that you really just don't really see ego playing out in your life until you're becoming self-aware, or you're becoming self-aware of like what you're doing, what your actions are doing to you. And just this morning, as I've mentioned, I've been journaling, and like I think I've mentioned in my previous video that until now I'm still doing shadow work, and I'm talking to you now in a way where I'm in a position where I feel a bit more comfortable talking about ego right now. But before, it was really like, it's unexplainable in a way where the ego is so attached to me that I really don't know that it was ego doing things for me instead of me, the higher self, doing the things for me. Because, like, just to give you a better example, just to have a better context of what I've been talking, it's like, just imagine, I know you have your dreams, you have your imaginations, you have your wild imaginations, you have your bright future. You imagine your bright future, you have this imagination for yourself, you see this part of yourself, and your heart knows that you want to go there. Your heart knows where you want to go. But because your ego contains all the traumas, contains all the papa complex, mama complex you have, contains all the painful stuff, and ego is carrying all of those things. And because it's carrying all of those things, ego, like I've said in my previous video, ego tries to save you from the pain. And because ego is trying to save you from the pain, it's trying to decide things that would avoid you from facing the same fear, facing the same pain, at the cost of not reaching your dreams, the ones that you imagine for yourself. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So just because your ego is functioning so greatly and so, how should I say, so it's within you, it's embedded in you in a way where you really don't know that it's ego playing out, or is it you, really you, who played the decision, play the role of the decision maker, or is it the ego playing out, or does the decisions for you, decides for you. So because of this realization, I realized that how my ego has been trying to save me from all this trauma, these pains that I have in my life. And because it's trying to save me from all these pains in my life, it also compromised me from doing the very things that I like to achieve for myself. And because, like, for example, I really want to finish my book. And it's like, how should I say? I've been writing this novel for right now 3 years. Strokes of Desire #1. And if you watch my channel, you will see the playlist where all of the things, all, like, chapter by chapter, episode by episode, I share those things, the chapters with you for free. So because I want to share the message of the book with you. But ego tries to tell me that you can't, because it's revealing the content of the book. Therefore, how can you sell your book then if everyone knows the story? Right? Or how would you, like, ego is trying to save me from the consequences, the repercussions, the consequences of what I will be saying today, for example. I fear that someday this, just because right now I'm in my 30s, I decided to lead my life with heart-based decisions. I want my heart to decide this time. I want my inner child to decide this time, not my ego. My egoic adult is so destroyed and wrecked that I can't rely on her. I can't rely on her in deciding things for me because she's traumatized. She's destroyed me. And because I don't want her to decide the future that I want to have, or that I have in my mind, even as a kid, like all this wildest dreams in my head as a kid is now in my head right now as an adult. I don't want to ruin that just because I still live within the compound of ego. It's not that it's not like I ignore ego, or you should ignore ego, or you should not be deciding based on like egoic decisions. Ego is still helpful because you're saving yourself from something, but you just have to make sure that that something is reasonable. It's really harmful for you, or it's really like, for example, you love this person, but because your ego is deciding for you, you're hurting the person. You don't want to hurt the person, but it's ego talking on behalf of you. It's ego who moved your feet on your behalf. And that's what happened to me in my marriage. And it's what happened to me in my relationships with my family, with my husband, with my friends, with all the people who knew me. I decided, most of my life, because I was so unconscious, I'm not aware of what I'm doing. I feel great when I speak, for example, when I speak to you in a domineering way. I feel great because I feel so empty inside. So, and because I feel so empty inside, I just, what should I say? Like, I just let ego do the way because it's what I know. It's the safest route. It's the safest thing to do. And because of that, it's not really the kind of life that I want to live. And because of that, I don't want to ruin my relationships. I don't want to ruin my marriage. I don't want to ruin my family. I don't want to ruin myself and the future self who's waiting for me. Just because my present now, my present me, I mean, is, you know, like, you can cry, you can lash out and all, because the way you can fight ego is by confronting it. And ego is really so bitchy and so, he's like a fuck boy who like a fuck boy who doesn't want to admit the inner child within him. And you see it all over, it's scattered all over the place. Your ego, your egoic decisions, there are remains. Just look around you. Are you happy with where you are now? Are you happy with what you're saying right now? Are you happy with the quality of relationships you have now? Then it's, like, just look around you and see yourself and ask yourself this question. If you're not happy with what you have now, then look back on the decisions that you've made 10 years, 5 years, 7 years ago. Are these egoic decisions, or is this heart-based decision? You will know that it's heart-based decision because even after years, although it doesn't feel right at that time, because it feels so nerve-wracking, frightening. It's absolutely not you. But later on, you will realize that once you follow your heart, you will not regret anything. You will not resent anything because it's anyway from the heart. Once you listen to your soul, once you start listening to your soul, everything will fall into place. Because you will just love what you're doing. You will just love life. You will just love your husband. You will just love your family, no matter how imperfect they are. Because you just learn to love yourself. And by loving yourself, that means accepting the flaws and accepting the things that the mistakes that you've done in the past, the errors that the decisions, the decisions that you've made in the past that brought you here to where you are now, where you feel like you're not happy. Just having that awareness of what you have been doing, and just the awareness, just simply being aware of where you are now, is already a big step to try to massage your ego and make way for that ego to function well in today's world. So if this message resonates with you, I hope that this sheds a light on something. I don't know, but for me, it's what I got after writing my journal today. It's really how ego destroys myself, how ego destroys my relationship with my husband, how ego destroys my relationship with my family, just because my ego wants to isolate, wants to save me from humiliation, wants to save me from guilt, fear, and frustration. And because I have a Scorpio moon, the moment I feel this uncomfortable sensations, I feel it to the bone. I feel it in every nerve. I feel it in every cell of my body. And because my ego wants to save me from all of these painful tingles, painful sensations, uncomfortable sensations, that's why it's quote unquote the right way to do things, to move things forward based on ego, because my ego wants to save my body from pain, right? And I don't want that. So that's why over the years, while I'm doing shadow work, it helps me confront the parts of me that I don't like in a way that I don't feel offended, because it's just me talking to a piece of paper. But spiritually, it's doing something unconsciously, because I was able to release all of that on the page. And because I was able to release all of that, there's no sense for me to keep it in. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So if that helps with you, I really like to know if you're doing shadow work, let me know in the comments below. And I like to know how you do your shadow work journey. And if this message resonates with you, let me know in the comment section below. And if you find my message in time, I really, I don't want to, I don't want to sound like a prophet or some mystic or so. I'm just a regular person who has big dreams with mindset. And because of that lack mindset, I want to grow. I want to grow as a person. I want to grow with you. And just so you know, I'm sharing this with you like a friend. I don't have, I have my friends, yes, but I like to share these things that I never shared with you. And it's so weird because I'm talking to you, sharing all these things that I've just shared on the paper, but I'm sharing it with you because I think it's helpful for you to realize how thin ego is and how fragile it can be. And then once it's broken and shattered into pieces, that's when you have the dark night of the soul, because your ego just can't move along with the new journey that you have. So if this is you, let me know. And yeah, I feel thankful and I feel light, and I feel like I've released something. And I thank you for spending several minutes with me, and I thank you so much from the deepest part of my heart and for being here and for listening to me. And yeah, see you in the next one. Love you so much, and yeah, see you in the next one. Cheers.